LePage here for Dare2Draw. Guys, welcome to the Dare2Draw at MNN, huh? You excited? Yeah! Woohoo! We are back. It's great to be back. We have an amazing guest here today. Her name is Alitha E. Martinez. We're going to sit down with her. She's done a lot of amazing stuff. Tons of stuff at DC, tons of stuff at Marvel, plus her own, create her own stuff. So I'm excited to talk to her. But first, I want to introduce my co-host. Give it up for Zeea Adams, everybody. Yeah.
Hi, guys. Hi. I'm Zeea Adams. I am a colorist and illustrator. I've done a few covers and a few books and some of my own stuff. So I'm going to be here helping you guys out and giving a few pointers during the show.
Awesome, yeah. She's going to be running around talking to you guys while you're drawing, so it's super great. So, guys, just to give you a rundown of how this is going to work, we're going to have 3 segments. We're going to interview our very special guest this evening. Then we are going to do some quick draws, some warm-ups. We're going to have a model. She is going to be striking 2-minute poses. And you're going to be doing that for 20 minutes, so it's going to be 10 poses for 2 minutes each. And then we will have the quick draw contest, and we will give away amazing prizes. Does that sound good, everybody? Yeah, all right. All right, well, now I'm going to introduce our amazing mentor, and we're going to do our interview. Please give it up for the Eisner Award-winning Alitha E. Martinez. Breaking out the cards here, bear with me. All right. So first, I want to kind of talk about, you had a love of storytelling that kind of drove you to comics. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes, I didn't know the comic book format actually existed, so I just wanted to tell a story. When I was little, I used to draw on the margin of books, get in trouble because you don't draw on the Bible, friends. Don't do it. No. So I would draw on the margin of books, try to figure it out. I really just wanted to tell a story. I had no idea there was things like comic books. My family's immigrants. They don't go out and buy art on purpose. That was not why they got here.
Well, awesome. So now, back in the day, you were known as like an invisible artist or a ghost artist. Tell us a little bit about like what that means and kind of how you got started doing that.
Well, it's how I got my start in comics. I was Joe Quesada's assistant. Ooh. That's an uncredited position. Okay. Well, you know, you learn, you grow, you become an artist in your own right. But yeah, you're going to do that. As he said, it's a trial by fire, starting with Azrael Ash and going on to Marvel Knight's Daredevil.
Yeah, all right, well, let's list some of the amazing stuff that you've worked on. What is some of the stuff that you were really proud of or really happy to be a part of?
Well, proud of and happy to be a part of are two
separate things. All right, okay, all right. I didn't mean to put words in your mouth. Let me know which one is which, and kind of let's run down the line, because you've done so much amazing work.
I know, I've been drawing since they were letting animals off the ark, right? That's how long I've been doing this.
You are not that old.
Well, it feels that way because I've been doing it so long. Been out there in the desert with Moses. I saw his bones. It's terrible. Insane. But I've been, as I said, I started with Azrael Ash, working with Joe, with Marvel Knights, the first one on Black Panther with Mark's Texiera, getting to do touching a little of everything until I finally got Iron Man. Iron Man was my first big book, given to me by Bobby Chase, so that was like a great break for me. Nice. I was like, oh, this is fun, but I really didn't know what it meant to draw by yourself, to draw alone on a title. I didn't realize you'd have so little say.
Oh. Well, you mentioned Black Panther, and you won an Eisner for that, right?
I've won an Eisner for Black Panther World of Wakanda, which is different from my first run on the book back a long time ago.
All right.
As you know, Black Panther keeps coming around, keeps popping up.
As it should.
So it's after Brian Stelfreeze's big book, they released World of Wakanda, and that was like supposed to be a 5-issue miniseries, and well, who knew people would actually like it.
Well, that's great. Congrats. So let's talk a little bit about you did an amazing job of breaking into a boy's room, destroyed the patriarchy. We're able to kind of get into a industry that is very male-dominated, unfortunately. Talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about the fact that you've been part of something, for so long.
Yeah, right up with the surprise of, oh my God, comics exist, came another surprise. Girls don't draw comics. I'm like, what? What? That's fine. I'll change that. That's okay. Nice. So coming out of Florida, when I landed back in the country, come out of Florida, pack a duffel bag and a guitar, like a good old rock song.
Wow.
And move to New York City, because I'm going to do this thing. It's going to happen.
That's great. And you made it happen.
Yeah. Eventually I did, but without teachers. I'm self-taught artist. It was something that, I tried to go to SVA, tried to learn the art of this, and found out that was a very toxic boys club that couldn't even begin to rival what was going on in the industry for me at that time, because people were actually telling me why a company would not invest in me. And I'm like, oh, because you're a girl, and you're going to have babies, you're going to leave. Companies need people who will be there for them. I'm like, oh, okay. So they sort of pushed me out, but it didn't stop me. I kept practicing at home. I figured out what size paper to draw on. I figured out, oh, it's better on Bristol. Oh, all these little things, so that I got portfolio together, and by time I went to a comic book convention and put it in front of Joe Quesada, he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hire you. So I'm like, okay.
So you went to a con and actually presented your work, and that's how you got your first gig?
Yes, that's exactly how it happened. I walked up and showed him my portfolio. I didn't want to at first, because both Jimmy Palmiotti and Joe Quesada, I love them to death, but they look like bouncers.
Yeah, they do. They do. I'm so glad you said that.
I was a little scared of them. I was like, no. My friend's like, go, go. And I'm like, here we go again. Would you please look at my portfolio? I expected to hear, well, you don't draw like a girl. But they really look at it seriously.
Well, that's
great. Me a shot.
I'm glad. I'm glad. So you had mentioned teachers. Let's talk a little bit, because you teach as well.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the teaching that you do.
So 20 years after my experience at SVA, I'm now a teacher at SVA. I teach Drawing 1 and Drawing 2 for second-year students, and it's been an amazing turnaround. Before, there were just no women. I was the only girl in the department. Wow. I've had classes where there was one boy and the rest were all girls. So we've seen this shift, this amazing shift.
That's great. And you're also a world speaker?
Yes, I also work with the U.S. State Department's World Speaker Program. They send me around to talk to people who are in my position outside of the country, not knowing things existed, or having this love of comics and storybook telling and not knowing that you could actually do this thing or that it was even a job. So I go out and I get to talk to youths who would have otherwise been marginalized in the closet about it, because it is a difficult thing to tell an immigrant family that I want to do art when art is not respected.
Wow, it's so awesome. Not only were you, breaking into this, but you're also kind of like helping other people get in. That's pretty amazing. But I also wanted you to kind of be able to talk about your creator-owned stuff. So tell us a little bit about Yumi. First.
Now this is where we get into the things I love.
Yeah.
I love all things drawing, but Yumi and Ever is my superhero title, and Foreign is my sci-fi action drama. And that's where my love really lies. I write every single day. No matter how I feel, I just sit down and write something. And I have yet to be able to write something that has been published. I have to self-publish. My son and I are a little workshop at home, and we make books, and we go to cons, and we beg people to look at them. So with Yumi and Ever, that's, as I said, it's my superhero title. But also, it's something a little bit hidden, because no one realizes that both Yumi and Ever are both Hispanic. They both speak to my journey, because they look at them and they assume what they are. You see them, well, she's obviously Asian and he's obviously black, but we are so multi-spectrum. There's so many of us. We come across Afro, Latina, Afro this and that and the other, mixed with everything. So imagine having people in a comic book that are just as mixed up as I am. That was like wonderful for me, so I had to create it myself.
Right, right. And tell us a little bit about Foreign.
Now, Foreign,
yeah.
This is my love. I've been writing it for so long that my son said, why don't you publish it? And I'm like, no, it's too personal. He says, Mama, publish it, but listen to me. Don't do a Star Wars. Begin at the beginning.
So, don't start 7 in.
Don't start and then back us up and call it all these different titles.
Yeah.
So with that, this is my most fluid book. It's something that, again, I want to do something that doesn't feel like an attack. Normally when we're watching sci-fi, most people feel like you're sort of being attacked, or they're making them, you could tell the races are really a mock of other people's races, or things going on, women feel attacked. Well, in foreign, you don't get to feel attacked. You get to be plunged into a world that you have never seen before, Earth, in 600 years from now. Couldn't imagine what that would be like. Small population, lots and lots of aliens, and cute men, because, hey.
I loved how you did the cute men out to the camera. Cute men.
That's right.
Super
Buy my
important.
book. You'll enjoy the cute
600
men.
years to the future.
They're all
men are cute.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about your work ethic. You talked about writing every day. Like, talk about, especially for people who are coming up and trying to do this. Talk about like what it takes to really kind of to make it.
I tell people you should write or draw every day. You want to draw whether you feel good, whether you feel bad. And like me, I plan to draw to your deathbed. Why do I say these things? Yeah, my retirement plan is Jack Kirby's, just at my desk, and that's cool. That's a life well spent. Yeah.
Die at your desk is a life well spent.
Of course, that's how it is. And then I hope that people will come behind me and pick my sword up and keep going. I really hope for that. That's why I come out and try to speak to people. But I say that you have to draw every single day because it will build stamina. You need a lot of stamina. This is a job. People think, oh, it's wonderful, you get to draw. No, you get to lament your life and your life choices as you sit there drawing 20 hours a day and realize you haven't drawn enough for the day. And I say you draw every day, whether you feel good or you feel bad, because that is what you have to do. It's your dedication to this craft. You have to be serious about it. It is not a joke. If you think that all this diversity and all this wonderful stuff that's come up now, it wasn't here when I first joined this industry. And if you think it can't disappear, well, what happened with Trump? And you plan to draw it to your deathbed because you ask yourself this before you even start. If there was no one to read my comic, if no one was ever going to see my work, if I was the last person on this planet, would I still draw? Would you still draw? If the answer is yes, well then why jump right in and join this amazing world of comics? Yes.
What a switch there. I like that. Let's talk a little bit about your process, because we were talking about writing every day. Do you like to have music on in the background? Do you watch TV? Is it movies? Like, how do you like to work? What helps you kind of stay at the desk, if you will?
Well, I love to put on horror movies because it's good for pacing. And my desk faces away from my television set, so I can't put on something that's new because it'll make me look at it. And now that we're coming into football season.
Oh.
Well, I'm all ready for football season. I love football. You can't even start.
Are you still facing away from the television when football is happening and just listening to it?
I would be lying if I said yes entirely. Yes, for the most part, because if the commentators are good, I can go ahead and just go ahead. But sometime to plays, and then I like to look at Clay Matthews and. I'm going to make these admissions. It's okay.
I like we're discovering stuff here.
It's an intimate audience. You understand.
So speaking of cute men, you want to, let's name some projects that you would like to work on. I know we had talked earlier, and you said Namor was one of them, but what are some other stuff?
I wish Marvel would give me Namor. So want that. And I want to draw Superman. I'm wondering, has a woman drawn Superman yet? That's a question mark.
That would be
Alitha
awesome.
would love to draw Superman, would love it. That would be, I'm ready to write my memoirs. It's over, I'm good. If I could just do that
if you got Superman, you would immediately start your memoirs.
I would, immediately.
Well, I kind of hope that happens, but I also hope it doesn't. But yeah, that is great. And a lot of people, they ask, like, if you had some advice, or if you had to turn back the clock and do something different, what would you say to people? Obviously the work ethic, but what other kind of tips would you tell people to go into school for it, or does that matter? For people who really want to make it, what kind of advice would you give?
Well, it's like I said before, you have to do all those three things, but mostly you have to take it seriously. It's not a joke. We're a shrinking industry, and this is a 1% club. If you really think about what New 52 DC meant, 52 principal titles going at one time, think about that. That's a small pool for all of the artists out there. So how could you enter half-cocked? You can't. You have to go full force, full bore. You have to be dedicated to this. And I think more importantly, you have to be willing to pull up other people behind you. Like, as I say, I speak around the world and I teach on top of my grueling schedule. I mean, I don't sleep. I'm a person that's like awake all the time because I feel that I have to have someone come in behind me. I cannot leave it like this. It can't go back to the way it was. That struggle, that voice I'm still trying to find. People would ask me, hey, what would the young Alitha tell the old Alitha?
Right.
It's like, you know what she would tell her? You're not done. You're just started. There's a whole other mountain to climb. You have to keep going. You can't rest. So I'm waiting for the day I can rest. Give me Superman so I can rest just a little bit, please. But
Well,
don't think it's going to happen for me.
Well, it's been an honor to sit here and talk with you. Hopefully we have some audience questions in case people want to ask you some stuff. But thank you for all your amazing work. You know, if you do die at your desk, I hope someone does take up the sword and run.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Yeah.